Hey, good morning, RCC. Isn't technology great? I'm sitting here. Obviously, this is a recording. I wish I could come to you live this morning, but due to a prior commitment, I'm currently in Ohio at a Vintage Market Day show with Michelle. And today is Sunday's going to be pack out day after we get done selling. So I get to load everything up that I got to unload on Thursday. So appreciate you guys for being here this morning. I want to thank Matt for all that he's doing to make the technology work. I'm telling you, it's amazing what his dedication and what he accomplishes and he's able to do. And I'm very envious that he can accomplish so many things. So thanks, Matt, for being able to get this message to the church. I want to thank Carla for being our MC this morning and running the services and getting everything going very well. Carla, so appreciate your leadership. And then I want to thank everybody that's there today. Guys, you being there on a Sunday, taking time from your schedule to be here is just a testament of your commitment and to your faithfulness at RCC. So definitely thank you for that. And then also thanks for all of our folks that it's my understanding we're going to be live. So thanks for all the folks that are watching with us and coming to us on Facebook. If you get a chance, I want to encourage you, please come and visit with us in person. You're going to love our community. You're going to love our members, what our church, so that way you can come find out more about what we believe at RCC, what we teach, and be a part of a fantastic community. So thank you for that. Also want to be mindful and encourage everyone, be in prayer for those that were mentioned during our prayer time. We have a lot going on in our church with our congregation and our community there. So some challenges, some struggles, some anxiety, adversity, those things are there. And so just be mindful, be prayerful throughout your week as you go forward. Just, sit there and think about, send some good things towards folks and ask for healing or ask for solutions for the things that they have for their going on with their problems and their issues in their life and their health and all the things that kind of, that can kind of add up and get to us. And that's the hard part about life. Sometimes the adversity and the struggles can become very strong, very overwhelming, and having that faith and having others reaching out on our behalf, praying and asking for God's intervention and God's guidance and wisdom and the safety and the comfort and the peace and the things that we can get from prayer and prayers being answered is absolutely amazing. So let's get into it this week. I'm going to try to be a little, the last few weeks leading up to the Easter season, we've been very, been some pretty intense, pretty in-depth things. And so hopefully this week will be a little lighter. This is a sermon that I've revisited. I think I did this back during the pandemic when I was filling in one Sunday, helping David Conway. I don't remember if this was an in-person sermon or if it was a Zoom sermon. I don't remember, but I remember going back and finding some notes and then going and finding some of the articles that I used to do this. And so today we're going to talk about 10 lessons that we can get from Noah and the ark and that story. All right, so we find the story of Noah in the book of Genesis in the Old Testament, going basically chapters 6, 7, and 8 into 9 a little bit. You get into some of the lineage and the things that go there, but we know we've been taught that story from the time we were little kids, talking about how that the world had gotten really bad, that God had looked to find a righteous man and his family. He found Noah, and then began interacting with Noah and, basically laying out the plan, giving him his call, Noah responding, being obedient. You're going to hear the word obedient or obedience today a whole lot in talking about Noah. And, and Noah being the preservation of mankind. And so, we got to look at, I always ask the question, why did God destroy the world? Why did he feel that it needed to be destroyed? It needed to be to that, and it basically said because of the wickedness, the wickedness of man and how evil things have gotten, the society being there. One of the questions in the back of my mind, I never really consider how advanced technologically society was there at that point in time. I think they were probably more advanced than we give them credit for, because even after the times of Noah, shortly after the time of Noah, the talking about society building the Tower of Babel, and it was a masonry thing, and I just don't think about technology and those things being those that way then. So in Genesis chapter 6, God's judgment is placed on the world. Humans are corrupted. They're evil. They need to be, basically need a fresh start, a reboot, per se. He finds Noah and his family that he finds to be righteous and pure. He gives him the instructions to build the ark. Noah fills the ark. It rains for 40 days and 40 nights. There's 150 days of water on the earth that's there. It begins to recede at there. I think in total, Noah and his family were in the ark for like 371 days. So over a year that they were in the ark and went through this process. And then we know that he sends the birds out, the ravens and the dove, and finds out there's land. And then they evacuate the ark, or they exit the ark, and all things that breathe begin anew. So it's really some interesting reading if you get in there into the text of it. But today I want to focus on 10 lessons that came from Noah and the ark. In the whole story. This can be a very serious. It can be there's going to be some levity into it. And so let's look at the first lesson that we have. Lesson number 1: don't miss the boat. I think sometimes procrastination sets in. Sometimes we get a call, we get something from God, we get that feeling in our gut, something that we need to do, something that needs to be taken care of, and sometimes we let those little cares nag at us and hold us back, and we might miss the boat. But in the example of Noah, missing the boat was life or death. If you were on the boat, you lived. If you were off the boat, you died. And so God called Noah, and he listened. God warned Noah, and he listened. God delivered Noah because he was obedient. Obedience is hard because sometimes it requires us to sacrifice or to put ourself out of the picture, that ego, that self, and deny that, and then do the hard thing, because we're creatures of habit. We like to do the easy things in life, and sometimes answering God's call for whatever it is. It might be for us as individuals, might be for families, might even be just for our church. We have a call. And the most important thing is that we're obedient, and that we don't miss that boat. We don't miss the opportunity to answer that call and to be what God's calling us to be. Because we don't see the big picture. We don't see the whole picture all the time. And sometimes we don't understand that what we do today, or what we did at the Easter egg hunt, or something that we said at Easter breakfast, or something like that, we don't understand the long-term consequences or the long-term benefits of those things. That's all part about it all working together. So number 1, be obedient. Don't miss the boat. All right, lesson number 2 that goes with this is plan ahead and be prepared. Now, when God called Noah, there was all kinds of excuses that could be there, but you know what? He answered. He planned ahead. God gave him the plan, and he said, you know what, I'm going to do it. Just remember, when Noah got the instructions about the ark, it wasn't raining. When they got into the ark, it wasn't raining. In fact, there's some scholars, biblical scholars, will say that it had never rained up until this point because of the firmament, and the dew took care of watering the plant. So some interesting things to go there. And so it wasn't raining when the ark was ordered. Noah was 600 years old when he became a shipbuilder, 700 years old when he became a sailor, and 700 years old when he became a zookeeper. So just understand, plan ahead, be prepared, because you don't know what God's going to call us to do, or what we're going to be in line for. Number 3, if God calls, he will provide. Noah could have gotten all worked up about an ark. What's an ark? Rain? What's rain? It's never rained before. What's that mean? But he didn't. He was obedient. He didn't major in the minors. He just understood that God had called. He understood that there was a task at hand, and he understood that he needed to do it. But think about it. I'm supposed to put animals on the boat. I'm supposed to build. We don't even know if he'd ever seen a boat. We don't know. There's a lot of things there that kind of goes with it. So this can be completely foreign. And so, there could be something that God's going to lay on your heart that you don't know. You don't know anything about. And you're like, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. And you could get paralyzed by all the things that you don't know how to do, all the things that you can't do, all the things that, that goes into it, and get stuck and miss the boat and not be there. But Noah he understood that God's faithfulness and the provisions that were there, that if he was obedient, those things would be taken care of. So basically, I like to say that Noah got a goal, build the boat. He got the plan when God told him what the plan was, and then he got to work. His faithfulness in God's promise is what was enabled him to go through there and do that. Number 4, we are all in the same boat. And we're also, none of us are going to get out of it alive. And so sometimes we let fear hold us back. We let those things do it. But we're all in the same boat. And we're all preparing for eternity. And we need to think about who we're going to bring with us. As believers, we focus on what we have in common. Because, hey, the church down the street doesn't do things like we do, or the people down the street don't do things like we do, but we're still all in the same boat. We've all been called to do the same thing, and that's to share the message of Jesus. We've all been called to do that, but we're all in the same boat. We're going to be in the same, and later on, we're kind of all in the same storm. It affects some of us differently. Sometimes and something else to think about too is if we're all in the same boat, sometimes the boat smells. Can you imagine what the ark was like? All those animals. It doesn't say what they did, I don't imagine, I just think about the provisions that it took. I think about, what would it take as far as the practicality of having all that there. But it helps that sometimes that we're empathetic and that we're sympathetic and understand that we're all in the same boat. We're all going through the same, several of the same things. Some of us handle it differently. That's where we have strength. That's where we can build bonds. That's where we can help others, where we can serve and do those things. But we have to remember, no matter how good or how bad things are, that we ultimately are all in the same boat, and we're all going to be handling those storms. And one of the things, in one of the articles I read, it says a problem shared is a problem halved. Problem, task, mission, or a call. As a church, if we're called to do something and we're able to share it with one another, shoulder that burden together, we will amplify our results, because we all know that there are strengths, that our strength is in numbers, or at least in being together. All right, here we go. Number 5. Don't listen to critics, cynics, or haters. When you start out on that path to do something great, and it may not be something great, it may be something very mundane, but when you set out on that path to do what God's called you to do, you're going to share that vision with people. You're going to ask people to be a part of it with you. You're going to do those things, and guess what? There's going to be people that will be all for you, and they'll do whatever they can to help you. There's going to be people that'll say with their mouth that, oh, I'm all for you. I'll do whatever I can to help you. But then when you pick up the phone, you send a text, or whatever you do, and you convey that need, you're going to get crickets. They're going to go MIA. And then there's going to be people that regardless of what you do, they're going to cross their arms. They're going to sit on the sideline. They're going to say, well, I would have done it this way. Well, he should have done that. She should have done this. There's going to be people that are the cynics that are going to be out there and say, well, they're only doing this because they want to look good. They only do this because they want the attention. And then you're going to have haters that are going to outright just be there, and they're going to do everything they can to detract from you and to minimize you and to make what you're doing irrelevant. But we can't listen to those people, because ultimately we got to remember who called us. We got to remember the mission at hand. We got to remember the goal. We got to remember the plan, and we got to remember that we got to keep moving. If you're working and you're doing what it can, you'll find out that you don't have time to talk about people. You don't have time to do those things, that you're just focused on what you've been called to do. And generally speaking, the more people are talking about you and what you're doing, the less they're doing. And those people just need to be ignored, to say the least. Lesson number 6. The ark was built by amateurs. The Titanic by professionals. And also that applies to a lot of things in the Bible too. God didn't call the prepared. He didn't call the perfect people for jobs. He called the people that he called were those that are willing to be obedient and those that are willing to go to work, knowing that they will be prepared, that they will learn as they go, and knowing that his provisions will be provided. So be assured in God's plan when you're called and you take action. Obedience is your superpower. Faithfulness leads to success. God's blessing and provision always come on what he calls you to do. So as we're looking individually at what our ministry is, or what we're doing as our congregation, what our ministry is, we're not going to have all the answers. We're not going to have all the supplies. We're not going to have everything that we need. But if we get started, It'll be amazing how things just work out and how things go in there. And I know sometimes somebody's probably being a little critic in the back of your mind, saying, "Well, that's just pie in the sky mentality. It doesn't work that way." I have seen it happen more and more times again. I'll look at it right now. I don't think that I was prepared to be a minister. I'm not prepared, but every day there's people being put into my life, put into my path that is giving me what I need to be able to do this. And I think that we'll see that as we all go through. As RCC grows and as we move forward, we'll find out that what we need will show up when we need it, and that God will provide. Lesson number 7. It's a good idea to travel in pairs. We all need a buddy, like-minded folks, somebody that sees things the way that we do, somebody that's in the boat with us, that's rowing with us, that feels the pressure, that feels the struggle. We are all in need of somebody to be there with us. And what we find out is that the bigger the call, the bigger the mission that God's laid on our heart, the thing that we need to do, the service, the more people we're serving, you're going to find out that you're going to need more people that will be there with you. And that person will give you support, they'll give you strength, they'll give you accountability, and they'll give you companionship, and maybe they'll give you the ideas and some of the resources that you didn't have, or things that you needed to be able to accomplish what God's called you to do. In the Bible we're told where 2 or more are gathered, good things happen, and that's where God shows up. And so don't think you have to go it alone. Share your vision. If the call's there, share it, and you'll be amazed at the number of people in our congregation, in our church, and in our community that will be there to support and encourage and do what they can to help that call come to fruition. That's part of God's providence also. Is we may start out alone, but we won't finish alone, and that's a huge blessing and a great reassurance. Number 8. This is a hard one for Britt. That's a hard one for a lot of people. But go with the flow. Be okay with what you can't control. Trust God and trust the plan. If He gets you started, He will see you through. Trust in the destination. Just know that you started at point A, you might be at point B, and you may not know where the end is. But understand that as we go through this, Noah didn't know where, he didn't know. He was on a kind of need to know basis, and he just trusts the process, and he trusts God's plan, His providence, and His faithfulness as he went through this. Think about how hard that is. I mean, especially if you're going to try to get after something big. Noah had a little pressure. It was the survival of mankind, and the future Earth. I don't know if he had that vision. I don't know if God told him, said, Noah may have thought there were other people building arks. I mean, we don't know. We're not given the clarity of that understanding. But think about the pressure that he had. He had the survival of his family, plus all these lives that were on the ark that he was entrusted with. Such a challenge. But the recurring theme of obedience, faithfulness, and hope in Christ and in God that we have is there. That should be what sees us through there. And also, as part of with going with the flow, is just remember that sometimes faster is not better. That the process is necessary, because the process leads to refinement. It leads to improvement, to strengthening. It leads to you becoming what you need to be in order to accomplish the call that we have for us. Last page. All right, number 9. Learn to be patient. That's part of going with the flow. But sometimes we live in a microwave society, and sometimes it's not even crock pot fast. I mean, we need to understand that if we start today, that we don't know when the finish is, and it may take a year, it may take a week, it may take a month, it may take a year, it may take 5 years. But just understand that being patient and cherish the process. Understand that life is not about a destination; it's about that journey. Our spiritual life is definitely about that, because everything we do right now is preparation for the next life. for eternity, and understand that we could rush through it, but what would we learn? What would we miss? Enjoy the process. Be patient. If you're in your trial, there's a reason for it. Think about it. Noah was on that boat for 371 days. That's about what I think that my math's right. That's what it works out to. That's a long time on a boat with, could you imagine being with just your immediate family in any enclosed scenario for over a year, almost a year and a week, plus all those animals, plus all the duties and the responsibilities. That's a big burden. And when we answer sometimes the calls that we're given, they're going to be big burdens as well. And so we just got to understand, we got to be patient and know that it's not going to be instantaneous to do that. All right, last lesson from Noah and the Ark. No matter the storm, there is always a rainbow coming. My friend and mentor, David Conway, taught me this one day, and I've always looked at this, and I've quoted him many times saying it. In life, we are either going into a storm, in a storm, or coming out of a storm. That's kind of the three phases of life. And as we understand the challenges and understand the things that we're dealing with, we need to remember that we have to be obedient, be faithful, trust in the Lord, and have hope in the future that God is creating you for, and also the future that He's creating for you. Because He has put us on a path. He's put us on a call. We all have a call to teach what Jesus taught, to love the ones that feel unloved, to be the light, to be the salt that preserves the world, to be the light that drives out darkness, to be the embodiment of the love that He had for us, that He showed through His sacrifice on the cross. We're never promised that it's going to be easy. We're not told that it's going to be, some pastors are out there, they're talking about, that Christianity is about prosperity and that it's about life's going to be a rose garden. And, they make some false promises in about what it means to truly be a disciple and what it means to serve, love, and honor those that are with us. It's messy. It's tumultuous. It's draining. But in the end, when we do what we're called to do, to love how we're called to love, we will see the benefits of God's work in other people's lives through us. And that's what we need to remember, is that remember the promise. When God, when everything was said with Noah, He gave him the new covenant with God, with Noah's family from God, that the rainbow would be how he would never destroy the world by water again. And just like we have a new covenant that we're given to, that will be a new creation in Christ, that we'll be able to influence and be others and be the light that shows Christ's love and the salt that preserves, and to be what we're called to be as we embrace the mantle of disciple. That we remember that we love God with all of our heart, that we love our neighbor as ourselves, to the point that we'll serve them, that we'll be what they need us to be for them. And then we're going to go and make disciples of the world and teach them what Christ taught us. And that's a great place for us to be in. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a rose garden. But I promise you in the end that when we're doing God's work and we're doing what we're called to do, that it will be worth it. So as we wrap up this morning, I want to thank you all for being with us. I'm not sure how Matt will wrap this up. Our Facebook crowd, thank you for joining us. I know this. We have, check out the Facebook page. Matt's going to have our events coming up for the week posted from the bulletin. I believe we have this coming week. We're going to have a Wednesday night Bible study and meal. Appreciate Barb Yoris for being the one that's going to do the cooking for us for that. And I'm excited to be able to spend some time, get back home on this week and spend time with you guys on Wednesday. And prepare as we move forward in the week. As we wrap up, I want to thank you. I want to thank everybody. Matt for making this happen. Carla Preston for emceeing the service and seeing this. So as we go into before we go to our final hymn of worship and the closing of the service there in person, I want to do a little praying for you, and I just wanted to think about some things. All right, so. Father God, thank you for our time here today. Thank you for us being able to come together and understand the lessons that Noah taught us through his obedience and through his faithfulness. I just ask that you touch each person that's heard this message today, and that it resonates with them, that it's in their heart, that they're able to understand what your call for their life is, that they see that vision, they see what they're called to do, what they're supposed to do, that they understand that regardless of their age, regardless of who they are, where they are, what they're doing in their life, that you have a great work for them, and that it is to reach out and to serve and to love as Jesus taught us to do. I ask that you help us to understand and stay obedient to your will, that you keep us in your will, and that you use us as you would use Radcliffe Christian, use our community, use us to further your kingdom. In your Son's holy name, amen. Thank you guys for joining with us, and I'll see you all very soon. Have a great rest of your day. Be blessed.